call the June 6th Planning Commission meeting to order. Do attendance. Justin?
Miller, Jackamore,
Here.
Monfee, Hatley, Duffield, Choate, Smith, Black, myself, present. Mr. Westcott,
Yes, sir.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, everyone had a chance to approve the minutes from May 2nd. I need a motion. Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the May minutes. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll go into new business. Got item number 1, consideration to move Planning Commission meeting to July 2nd, 2024, and the August Planning Commission meeting to June 30th, 2024, to work around holidays and staff training. The meeting will take place at the regular scheduled time in City Hall Council Chambers. And we'll need a motion.
Motion approved.
Got a motion and a second to approve item number 1. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moved to item number 2. It's to approve a large-scale development located at 1801 Fairway Boulevard, submitted by Barrett and Associate on behalf of the Community Christian School. We have a staff report.
Absolutely, yes, sir. So this is a large-scale development, as you said, for Valley Christian. They're proposing to go over and build a brand-new facility off of Fairway Boulevard. The existing conditions is that this is vacant land along Fairway. Property to the south is being developed. It's currently under development as Boast Residential Community. Properties previously developed include a senior living center, a child care facility, and residential subdivisions. Properties north of the railroad are commercial industrial in nature, and west of this property is some undeveloped land, a commercial structure currently utilized by Entergy and the fairgrounds. The review comments are that the proposal is to allow the construction of a new 32,600 square foot community Christian school with a future softball, baseball, and football fields. The current proposal is for the school and the associated parking. Per Article 1.9.2 of the Land Subdivision and Development Code, an incidental subdivision plat will be required. Article 2.13.5 indicates that parking is in compliance. However, a note is that all future expansions of the parking lot will need to comply with the landscaping requirements. That's currently not shown on their plans. Per Article 3.22, commercial building design will confirm the final requirements as noted in the staff report with site plan review. And just an additional note that we will have to see that material sample board to confirm the facade material is in compliance. It does look like it is in compliance, but we are unable to tell without that material sample board. Article 5.1 shows that landscaping is shown on the plans with the exact details to be confirmed with site plan review. And then Public Works had a comment that it does require the storm water management to be met, which is standard for any development of this size. So it is staff's recommendation to approve the large-scale development to allow construction of a new community Christian K through 12 grade school with the following conditions: apply for and obtain an incidental subdivision, provide the statement of parking analysis at the time of business license submittal, provide details as noted in the review as being required to confirm compliance for site plan review, and then submit civil site plan showing compliance with the regulations regarding drainage. I don't know why that word "and" is there, I apologize. As a result of the findings that the applicant has expressed their commitment to adhere to the zoning regulations, and applicant demonstrates compliance with the regulations within Section 7 of the Land Subdivision and Development Code. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Okay. We got any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, I will need a motion.
Move we approve as submitted, meeting all the conditions in the future.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor as presented. And we got a second. All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the large-scale development. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, move to item number 3, special use permit to allow a beauty shop in R3 zone located at 1303 Russell Road, submitted by Holcomb Lee LLC on behalf of Grace Fellowship Church. We have a staff report.
Yes. So as stated, this is a special use permit at 1303 Russell Road. This property includes a building that was previously utilized as Grace Fellowship Church. The applicant is proposing to move an existing beauty salon to this location, which does require a special use permit in this R3 zone. The property is located adjacent to an apartment complex, single-family homes, and the Friendship Pediatric Services location. Surrounding properties to the north, east, and west are all zoned R3 medium high density residential, and properties to the south are zoned R2 medium density residential. The applicant is not proposing any real changes to the site besides some minimal interior work. The changes they are proposing, as the building is not undergoing very many changes, it's not going to trigger anything such as the sidewalk code, landscaping code, or commercial building design. The applicant is proposing to utilize the existing hard surface striped parking, and they are proposing to add one ADA spot. The applicant has provided a parking analysis that shows that adequate striped hard surface parking is on the site. So staff does recommend approval of this special use permit as a result of the findings that the applicant demonstrates compliance with the applicable regulations within Article 2.6 of the Russellville Zoning Code. The proposed use is in line with adjacent uses within the district, and current traffic routes are constructed in such a way to handle the traffic from this business. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? Okay, we have someone on Holcomb Lee wants to speak.
This is Holton Lee and Kimberly Lee, and they were on vacation. They wanted to come and make sure and let you know who it was that was putting in their existing use that she already has. And, they're the ones that have the bowling alley as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, if there's not any more questions, I'll need a motion.
Motion to approve.
We got a motion and a second to approve item number 3. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to item number 4. It's replat of Owens Corning subdivision located at 1089 Tyler Road, submitted by Owens Corning. His staff report.
Yes, sir. So this is a replat of the Owens Corning subdivision at 1089 Tyler Road. The existing conditions are, this is a vacant lot that is currently under development by Owens Corning. Per the conditions given to their large-scale development in November 2023, they were required to submit an application for an incidental subdivision where it was discovered that Tyler Road did not have an adequate sized right-of-way at this location. Therefore, they had to dedicate additional right-of-way. The property is just east of JW Aluminum and just west of Rockline, and this property and all surrounding properties are zoned M1, with one property zoned M2 to the southeast. Typically, this type of incidental subdivision to plat and meets and bounds property would be approved at the staff level. However, staff is only given authority to approve when all of the approval guidelines outlined in Land Subdivision and Development Code Article 6.2 are met. In this case, 6.2.12 is not met and states no vacation of streets, alleys, setback lines, access control, or easements is required or proposed, which in this case, the proposal is to dedicate the right-of-way for Tyler Road. That's why it's being brought here instead of being a staff-level review. The applicant has acquired multiple properties and is replatting those tracts into one single property. Some of those properties had previously dedicated right-of-way, whereas some of them had not, making for an uneven property line and an uneven Tyler Road right-of-way. To make for a consistent and even right-of-way, the applicant is dedicating portions of their property to the Tyler Road right-of-way. And the GIS department reviewed the legal description, and the legal description closes and the plat is acceptable. As required by the LSDC, they have complied with all of the requirements for information to be included on the final plat as outlined by Articles 5.3.11. So it is staff's recommendation that the Planning Commission forwards this with a recommendation of approval to City Council to accept the public right-of-way as a result of the findings below. The final plat will conform to the final plat requirements outlined in Article 5.4 of the Land Subdivision and Development Code, and the dedication of adequate right-of-way in an acceptable location from the center line of the road, and construction of a light industrial complex is the highest and best use of the property. Do y'all have any questions?
Thank you for explaining why it got brought to us, because I was kind of wondering the same thing, so I appreciate that.
Sir, you're welcome.
Anybody have any questions?
Make a motion we approve it as submitted.
Got a motion, need a second? We have a motion and a second to approve item number 4. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that moves us to item number 5, to approve the final plat West Harold Edition located at 203 North Arkansas Avenue, submitted by Harold Ground LLC. That's staff report.
Yes, so this is going to be very similar to the one Caden just covered, just in a different location. So this is a minor plat at 2303 North Arkansas. This property is currently a vacant site where a car lot was previously located, as well as a single-family home. If you've driven by recently, you've probably seen some dirt work going on there. The property was recently rezoned to C2, so you guys have seen this property somewhat recently, to allow redevelopment for a new coffee shop in this location. The property is located north of the University Plaza, the newly developed urban loft apartments, south of Arby's, west of the Hampton Inn and Burger King, and east of a residential home. The property is zoned C2 Highway Commercial, and surrounding properties are zoned C2, C4, R1, and College Hill Zone. So kind of what Caden just said, typically this would be a staff level review. However, they did need to dedicate some right-of-way on West Harold Drive. Essentially, there was a 40-foot existing right-of-way, and the city requires a minimum of 60 feet, so they went ahead and dedicated 12.5 feet of additional right-of-way on their property. When the property to the south redevelops, we'll see something very similar to this, where they're going to have to dedicate their half of the right-of-way as well. As required by the Land Subdivision and Development Code, they have complied with all of the requirements for information to be included on the final plat, as outlined in section 5.3.11. So staff does recommend acceptance of this final plat by the Planning Commission, and then forwarding the acceptance of the public right-of-way to the City Council as a result of the findings that the final plat will conform with the final plat requirements outlined in Section 5.4 of the Land Subdivision and Development Code prior to being recorded. The dedication of adequate right-of-way is in an acceptable location from the center line of the road, and development of this property in a commercial manner is the highest and best use of the property. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, I do have a question, if I may. On page 2, you were talking about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down, about the right-of-way. And you said that when the property to the south redevelops, the property to the south, is it currently owned by the same people that own the property to the north in question?
No, sir.
Okay. At that time, the owners of the property to the south, will they have the option of not dedicating their half of the right-of-way? Or will it be mandatory that they dedicate it at some time?
That would depend on the level of development, as in if they're redeveloping the existing building, it may not be an issue. If they're tearing everything down and then starting from scratch, as this property is, it would likely be a requirement so that the city would have that acceptable right-of-way.
Just so that going forward we understand, or that I understand, we would be approving this with the understanding that in the future, a property owner would make a certain decision. If they decide at that time not to make that decision, how will that affect what we're deciding tonight? Or will it?
It would not affect the decision that you're making tonight, in that we always look at right-of-way from the center line and what is required for your side of a right-of-way. If in the future we go through and have to widen that street, we would be looking at the right-of-way required and may have to purchase right-of-way to the south if necessary to obtain that full 60-foot right-of-way.
Wait. Who would then be responsible for the purchase of the right-of-way if we're giving, quote, giving away some right-of-way to this petitioner in the hopes that the future petitioner later on may give up some right-of-way, and if they choose not to give it up willingly, we'll purchase it? Help me understand why, if someone's going to purchase it, why this petitioner would not be willing to purchase it. Is that,
So the
am I missing
petitioner to
something?
the north is dedicating, so they are giving to the city 12 and a half feet of right-of-way to equal what is required on the north half of the right-of-way for West Harrell Drive.
Okay.
The petitioner to the south currently is a developed property, so if they just do some remodeling in their building, they would not have to dedicate right-of-way. And if they keep it at that way, they would not have to dedicate right-of-way. But if the city decides to come in and widen that road and make it a 3-lane road and needs additional right-of-way, we would then look at purchasing the additional right-of-way where it is short, and that is on the south side of the right-of-way.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. We have a representative for Harold Ground LLC who would like to speak. Okay. Not any more discussion. Need a motion. Okay.
So, if the person that to the south of that property doesn't want to sell that property, but then the city decides to come in and widen that, and then that they would try to purchase that property, that extra footage from that property owner.
The city would work through the process to purchase that additional 10, 12 feet. I think it's only 10 feet on the south that is needed. The reason it's 12 and a half to the north is because of the radius that's needed at the corner of the intersection with Arkansas. And so they're choosing to do the 12 and a half feet. But on the south side, if the city comes in and chooses to widen that street and needs additional right-of-way, the city would then negotiate with the property owner to purchase that right-of-way.
Any more discussion? I will need a motion.
Make a motion to approve it as submitted.
Got a motion to approve as submitted. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve item number 5. All for it, state by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that moves us to item number 6, final plat, Tyler Road Place, located at 502 Tyler Road, submitted by Barrett and Associates on behalf of Clarence and Sarah Harbor. Do I have a staff report?
Yes, sir. So very similar to the last two applications. This is a replat to a one-lot subdivision in which they have to dedicate 22.5 feet for Tyler Road. It's the yellow highlighted area on this picture here. That's the dedication of right-of-way. Existing conditions, and I'll read through the existing conditions on this one and go really fast on our next application. It's an existing rock building in a mixed residential neighborhood just north and east of industrially developed properties. It is currently zoned M1. It is surrounded by R2 medium-density zoned properties, a mixture of single-family residential homes and duplexes. It's located approximately 600 feet south of the nearest commercial district. As stated, properties south on 6th Street on Tyler Road are all industrial, and uses include along Tyler Road include Tyson, a utility substation, a Bitcoin mining facility, and KBM Industrial Services along 6th Street. As indicated, typically incidental subdivisions are reviewed at the staff level. Authority has not been given to staff when a dedication of right-of-way is required. Tyler Road pre-existed prior to the annexation of this portion of the city, and no right-of-way had previously been dedicated for the frontage of this property. The applicant is proposing to dedicate 22.5 feet along the frontage to meet the requirements outlined for a collector street as defined by the master street plan. And then the plat conforms to all of the requirements listed within Article 6 of the Land Subdivision and Development Code. It is staff's recommendation to approve this application for the incidental subdivision plat for Tyler Road Place as a result of the findings that the final plat conforms to the final plat requirements outlined in Article 6.2.1 of the Land Subdivision Development Code. The right-of-way being dedicated is adequate to comply with the master street plan right-of-way for a collector street, and residential development is the highest and best use of this property, which goes along with the next application to rezone from M1 to R2. Are there any questions?
On that right-of-way, the 22 foot, is that gonna be, I gotta get my bearings straight on this, with the property to the south, I guess? Do we have that right-of-way right there, or how's that gonna work?
The property to the south is a residential property. This only abuts Tyler Road along the east property line in front of that rock building that's existing. If you put that image back up, Dawn, if you look
Yeah.
at this house, so if you were standing, have you seen this structure on
Yes.
Tyler Road? So if you're standing at the front door and looking towards the road, looking away from the building, that's Tyler Road right in front of you, and that's the area of the right-of-way dedication.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have Ms. Mabry, do you would like to speak? You just come up, yes, come up to the microphone, please.
Thank you for letting me to address you guys. My name's Barbara Mabry, and my husband and I own KBM Industrial Services, which is right behind where this duplex facility is going to go into place. I know that the next item is for rezoning from industrial. Of course, we're rezoned industrial, but if you'll look at your map, with the rezoning and the proposed building of the duplexes right next to our property, it just raises some questions for us, because when you look on the plat, it shows it, butting right up against our fence. We're concerned that the new development may impact the neighborhood's character and maybe the property's value and the quality. We'd like to know the plans, and maybe I need to talk to them about the plans in place to ensure that we maintain that quality and safeness of the area. And I understand that there's need for housing in Russellville. There's a great need for housing in Russellville. But I also, I'm for advancement for Russellville. But I also want to make sure that with rezoning it, that we encourage facilities that will not harbor any unwanted activities being butted up that close to our facility. Our facility is fenced off. We don't have a whole lot of trouble at this point. But I just want to make sure that we don't put something in there that will, because we have stuff outside, we have, stuff that's subject to, people may want to invite themselves in and take. We're an industrial construction company. So that's just our concern. And we want to maintain the level of security that we have there right now. And I don't know to what effect that the current duplexes, I don't know if they're going to be low income. I don't know if they're going to be, I'm not sure. So that's our biggest concern. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I should have put you first. Sorry. Jumped the gun a little bit.
David Garza with Barrett and Associates for the applicant. So they're going to remodel the existing building that's there. They're going to leave the rock structure so that it maintains the integrity, but they're going to gut the inside and completely remodel it. The new duplexes that will be put in the back will be brand new. So when those get rented, they're going to be at the highest price as any other brand new complex. Plus, they'll have fencing around it as well. You have a couple of units to the north of this on the other side of the creek. There's a creek just on the north of this. There are two, I think, triplexes. Is there triplexes? Two triplexes or duplexes there that we put in about 12 years ago. And then to the south of this, there are three homes, three small homes there. And so there's not enough room. You would think that maybe you could add all of that together for an industrial site, but it doesn't work. There's not enough room for it. They're too small. So this is going to improve what's there by putting in the new structure and remodeling this. It'll deter the vandalism that's going on right now and keep the kids that maybe are in the neighborhood from breaking in and just doing whatever they want to. Now, so the complex will now have someone there. The building to the north is going to be the office. So there'll be someone there all the time managing this property as the way it is right now. There is no one there, so there's a lot of activity that probably does go on after hours because it's vacant. So it needs to be improved. By improving it, then you're going to improve the neighborhood. and the security as well.
Thank you, and I apologize again for skipping over you first. Are there any questions?
Yes. Yes, there is, if I may. It has been requested on, I think, the last page from Barrett and Associates here. It says, this proposed request will enhance the area and improve the neighborhood. Quote, we will be asking for a suspension of the rules, read by title only one time, and invoke the emergency clause for the reasons that are stated in this letter. It would certainly be much easier on the council, certainly on this part, if the petitioner and the representatives from KBM were on the same page and could see the same vision and you know what I'm saying? With that conflict there, it's going to be very difficult for the council, I would say, with a clear conscience, to read one time by title and invoke the emergency clause. So, but if we can get on the same page and see it from the same way, then I don't know why we would not be supportive of this. But otherwise, I could see it going to the 3 readings, or 2 at least. Just trying to save you some time, if we can. Thank you. Correct, but the 2 items, though, pertaining to the property, though, if we can know that everybody's on the same page and comfortable with it, it certainly would make it easier to streamline what you're wanting to do. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. I don't see that letter, but may not have been in my, may have just missed it when I read over it. All right, is there any more questions? If not, I will need a motion. That is correct.
I make a motion to approve the item number 6 with the staff recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion for item number 6 to, as presented, as staff recommends. I'll need a motion. I mean, a second, sorry.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a second. Okay, on motion and second for item number 6, for all in favor, state by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll move us into item number 7, and this is rezoning property from M1 light industrial to R2 medium density residential located at 502 Tyler Road, submitted by Barrett and Associates on behalf of Clarence and Sarah Harbor. Staff report, please.
Yes, absolutely. Same property you just heard about. This is the zone change. As you will see in the zoning map above, it's this yellow box. And so it is directly adjacent to KBM, which is behind them. However, all the properties otherwise surrounding are R2 residential in nature and developed residentially. I think you've heard the existing conditions, surrounded by residential, but it's currently zoned M1. There are 3 things that we take into consideration when we look at rezoning. The first one is future and current land uses of the area. As I've highlighted, there are a mixture of uses. So you have industrial uses along south of 6th Street on Tyler Road, and then you do have KBM Industries, which is directly behind this property. However, everything else right around this one property is residential in nature. And it's a small piece of property. So once you take a look at the residential development that's directly surrounding this, the fact that it is a smaller piece of property and most likely would not develop in an industrial fashion, it does look like an R2 property. The proposal is to create a duplex development. And so rezoning to R2 medium-density residential would be in alignment with the future land uses of the area. The second item that you take a look at is Reimagine Russellville's Comprehensive Plan 2040, which primarily defines the area as suburban single-family along 6th Street and west of Tyler Road as suburban corridor. Although suburban single-family is the primary future land use, several properties along Tyler Road are already duplexes. Once you get back into the neighborhoods, they're primarily single-family, but right along Tyler Road, a majority, or half of them, are duplex developments. And so taking that into consideration, and without any commercial zoning, one would not really anticipate that this one property is going to develop into a commercial property or an industrial. And then, so as a result, staff does concur that this would be in line with the comprehensive plan. So then the third thing you take a look at is value or income potential of the property. Transitioning from M1 light industrial to R2 medium density residential typically would not increase the property value. However, changing the zoning could enhance the property's value in this instance. Industrial properties generally have higher value, but the size and location of this property would present higher development potential as a residential site. Rezoning is not intended to boost the property's value, but create a more practical and beneficial use in an otherwise less desirable location. It's too small for industrial development. It's surrounded by existing residential structures, and due to the surrounding residential structures would require additional nuisance abatement in the event it did develop as industrial, because you can't create something that would be a nuisance to your residential neighbors. So therefore, rezoning to R2 medium density residential is appropriate, and it really represents the highest and best use for this location, and it does benefit the surrounding properties. So it is staff's recommendation to forward this application to City Council for approval to rezone the property from M1 light industrial to R2 medium density residential as a result of the findings that the application is in line with existing and future land uses within the area. It does align with Reimagine Russellville 2040 comprehensive plan, and the rezoning is not intended to boost the property's value, but to create a more practical and beneficial use in an otherwise less desirable location. Are there any questions?
Can I see that image we have of the neighborhood there, the zoning?
Yes. Can you bring up that image? Thank you.
So, all of the yellow is
All of,
R2?
yes, ma'am. All of the yellow is R2. And so the area that they're proposing to rezone is kind of little,
I see the block in yellow, but
yeah,
the remainder all around it is already R2.
it's already R2. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, more questions? All right,
One-
Mr.
one for Mr.
Okay.
Barrett. The,
Let's speak up, go to the microphone, please, if he's gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Garza.
just the emergency clause, that's just financial aspect, they want to hurry up and start developing. the zoning.
Well, we can't get a building permit without it being zoned property.
Okay.
So, but we can get a building permit and start construction as long as we submit the application for the plat. While the plat process is being through the process from you to city council and on, then we can get a building permit. They will not get a C of O until it's complete. And it's going to take them, 5 to 6 months to work. By that time, the plat's already done. And so it's not necessary for the plat, but it is for the zoning, because at this point, we can't do what we're doing in that zone. It's a M zone.
Okay, thanks.
So that's the holdup, is can't get a permit to do anything without it being zoned properly.
Thank you. Ms. Mabry, you still here? You want, got any questions on the? Can you come to the microphone, please? I'm sorry.
I guess the only question that I would have is the only concern that once they put that building there, or those duplexes there, we're industrial construction. So we do have a little bit of noise. Now, we're not near as noisy as Tyler Road, the big Tyson plant, but with it being butted up so close to our property line, what, are we gonna have complaints, of people, the complaining of noise and that kind of factor? I don't know, because I haven't seen, like you said, I can get with them and look at what the, how close it is going to be up to our property line, which, from looking at this, it's going to be sitting right on it. I can get with them and, we can maybe come to an agreement. I don't know how y'all do that, so.
Doesn't it have to be so
Yeah.
So there are setback requirements and there are landscaping requirements. So in addition to the fence that they have there, they're going to have setback and additional landscaping requirements in the backyard. Now, that doesn't mean that they will never get complaints from those property owner or residents there about KBM, but we have updated the noise ordinance to include decibel levels. And I can tell that I've been out in this location and I've never heard anything from KBM. I think complaints may come from Tyson or Bitcoin before they would come from KBM in this location, based on my going out to the site and in that area already measuring. I can't guarantee it, but I do think there are protections in place for the residents there and for their adjoining neighbor.
And to add to Sarah's comments, usually the complaints come from ownership. These are rentals. So there is a different dynamic here. Rentals, they don't complain. They don't have anything in stake here. Ownerships do, like the houses that are north of her and the house next door to her. You haven't had complaints from any of them, have you? So they would, if there was noise, coming from KDM, those people would have already complained to the city or to them, and apparently they haven't, so they're not providing any noise. Like I said, the only noise is really Tyson, across the street, so.
Yeah, thank you. Now, we have any more questions? If not, we will need a motion.
Not sure if we can. Can we make a motion to approve it with the condition that we work out?
Ms.
maybe,
Mabry.
Ms. Mabry, and then they have their discussion, work out any issues that they have, and then this.
You can absolutely make a motion as presented by staff with additional conditions. And if you would put some kind of timeline, like they need to be worked out before it goes to city council, we can definitely add that and include that. Or you can just approve it as recommended. But you can add conditions.
I would caution you about adding the condition in this case, given the nature of what the problem may be, that She has, or presenting, which I don't want to get into that. Let us work it out. And then if there is a problem, the council will work it out. But don't add that condition, because I'm afraid, given the nature of what you're about to add to this, I think it's going to borderline on discrimination. So keep yourself safe. You don't want to do that.
And I have no problem,
Yeah.
certainly. It's just I want to
Yeah,
make
we'll
sure that everybody involved is happy with the
Sure.
decision that we're about to make, that's all.
Sure, but that would be the council. I would let the council deal with that and not the planning commission. Let them do that.
Thank you.
I guess I got one more question probably
All
for
right.
Sarah. The as submitted by staff, does that include this, the emergency clause and all that? Mr. Westbrook
The
talked
emergency
about?
clauses, that will just be forwarded to city council. So that's not something for you all to make a motion or do anything with. We will forward that to city council, and that's dealt with at the city council level.
We're just approving to take it to the next level with city council, is what we're doing here. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's good questions.
And they do meet, like our attorney was telling us, that it meets all the requirements from your office.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, if there's not any more questions, we will need a motion.
Guess I have a motion for, and one more question for
Okay.
Trey. Trey, you back there, buddy? Yes. One, application meets all the requirements. When the application, when it meets all the requirements, to forward to the city council, like we had on the last one, we had problems with it. When it meets all the requirements, do we have any,
On rezoning,
for rezoning? do we have-
rezoning has discretion. It's the Land Subdivision Development Code that's really, if it meets it, then
You
there's
have to.
you pretty much have to, but zoning has some discretion. So the zoning part, it's up to y'all and y'all's evaluation of whether that rezoning fits within the characteristic neighborhood.
I'd make a motion to approve it as they submitted, since it fits in the block.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to approve item number 7. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second for item number 7. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, if there's not any more other business, meeting is adjourned.